mindset. How do we scale a company, a book of business in today's market? And we've got Justin Bright from Brighter Logistics joining us. This is going to be a tremendous episode. Grab a coffee, grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, because we're going to have some serious sales chatter talk. Welcome to the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly. That was fast, DJ. That was
You
fast.
like that? That was real fast.
as soon as the video hit, DJ was gone. And I'm looking at him like, is he really not going to be there for the thing? I mean, I know he shows up late for meetings and stuff. But is he
Come
gonna
on. Listen. I needed to get my book and pen because I was ready.
The video starts and I take my last sip of coffee and I'm sitting there going, really? We just had an awesome 15-minute conversation. I never thought to grab another cup of coffee. So here I am, lost in space with no coffee this morning. Justin, welcome, my friend.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the time out. We know you got a ton of stuff going on to talk today. I think it's going to be an awesome conversation. If you can, just give us the kind of a quick highlight as to who you are, where you're from, and so the audience can get to know who you are, and then we'll jump into the topics.
Justin Bright, Brighter Logistics. We're actually in Clinton Township, Michigan, 45 minutes north of Detroit. Brighter Logistics has been around about 12 years. My wife, Wendy, and I started this back in 2010. Coming out of all the fun that was the recession and everything else.
It was a beauty time.
After everybody lost everything, right? So I'm what you would call maybe a serial entrepreneur as well. I run 3 other companies on top of this that I've started in the last 4 years. And we're rocking and rolling and doing some really cool stuff over here. But we have grown exponentially over the last 2 years since kind of COVID hit. And we put our foot down and said, here we go. And it's been a fun ride in the last 2 years, all based around sales, 100%.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And I mean, that's going to be the topic today. Because, originally when we were scheduling this, we had kind of 3 different topics to talk about. And we're going to try our best to get through all 3 of these bad boys. Because I think it's, I think you'll give so much value to the audience. And the first one is, the market, customers. We did a survey of over 100 customers and CEOs. And the common thread was, we can't be wrong. This year, we cannot be wrong. And we're seeing this thread, this kind of the same conversation happening all around supply chain, all around companies. I mean, companies that would make millions a year have now broken even or lost money last year, with supply chains 5, 6, 7, 10 times what they were paying. I truly believe for the first time in history, I mean, I'm 28 years in the industry. And for the first time in speaking with CEOs of, 1,000, 2,000 employee companies, they finally clicked for a lot of them that how much when there's friction in the supply chain, how much it can actually cost. I think companies have seen costs kind of do one of these, but last year was an anomaly in the industry. I mean, I've never personally seen it in the 28 years I've been in it. And I've lived through the 2008-9 recession, the exchange rate when it went from like 150 down to 130, like all of these issues, the capacity, 2018-19 ELD, all this kind of stuff. And I think companies have a different view on logistics now.
I think that ELD mandate is still, with everything that's happened right now, that ELD mandate is still having its effects on us today because of the amount of people that we lost then. Think about that, right? Those things don't go into effect. You might still have another 3,000 drivers or however many, walked away at that point. And a lot of things might not. It might be a little bit different at least, right? So, you're in Canada, right, Dan? Mm-hmm. So it's interesting. We're obviously right here in Detroit. We're on the border of Canada with you, and driving up and down 75 and both sides of it right now, you have somewhere between 4 to 6, 8 miles of backed up trucks coming and going in and out of Canada. And the way that affects everything it's been interesting. That's on the north side. That's on the south side. Both sides getting off. You have all these trucks trying to get in and out, and it's definitely difficult. There's no doubt. There's no doubt about that.
Well, they've also we've seen a massive amount of U.S. Canadian drivers decide that they just want to do Canada. And so, I mean, I mean, I'm sure it's happening in the U.S. as well. I can't really speak. I mean, I speak to a lot of Canadian companies where they're saying, "I need U.S. drivers," and it's like, but you had enough U.S. drivers like a month ago, and they're like, "No, guys are saying they no longer want to do the cross border thing, just with all the issues going on, all the friction, da 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 da." They're like, they no interest in it. They've been driving long enough. They want to just do this route. I think as an industry, we suck at marketing to drivers. I think we suck at getting young drivers in seats.
The U.S. is doing a poor job of that for sure, right?
Oh,
the U.S. has pushed so incredibly hard here that every kid should go to college, and you got to go to college and forget about the trades or trucking or anything else. And they never mention what kind of money a good truck driver can make, and a good truck driver can do very well for themselves and supply for themselves or their family or whatever. If that's over the road or if that's LTL or what that might be, they can do very, very well for themselves. And it's an honorable thing. There really is nothing wrong with it.
And I think that's the lens that needs to change personally. So, I can tell you, we go back a couple of years when the kids were graduating and there was a couple of students that were saying they're going to be a truck driver. And I'm like, and I'm in the crowd going, yeah, for sure, man. And all like, oh God, and it's like, are you kidding me? Do you realize if you do a 360, everything you see has touched a truck? So before you start, and I get passionate about this, so I'll try and keep a lid on it.
Yeah.
And because it's really not, I mean, it is, but it's like before you start, oh my gosh, uneducated, you're driving a truck. You need to shut up and sit down and realize without truck drivers, I mean, we do not have fresh water in 2 weeks. Like, come on. Like, there's plenty of evidence. And now, especially, it's, when COVID first happened, it was like, oh, thank a trucker. And that goes away so fast. And this is what I've got a lot of friends that are truck drivers and they're like, Dan, that's the most frustrating part is, for a couple of months, we weren't being cut off. People were honking and waving at us. And it was like, finally we get some, now it's just back to normal. It's like, it's this fading. He goes, it's not to mention, Dan, he goes, as much as there's some companies, he goes, now it's, I walk in, I can't use a bathroom. I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't do this. He's like, it's so crazy that like I'm there to move their product to market. Without me, they don't get any money because if it doesn't come off their dock, they don't get paid. And I'm sure Gary's got something to say about that. Good morning, Gary.
Yeah, morning,
we got Jacob in the house too. Get him, Dan.
That's right.
Yes, sir. I know, Jacob. Sometimes I just get, but you know what? I'd love to, as much as we just totally veered off the highway there, Justin.
Sorry. Let's get back on track.
Like you have an agency. You got people, you're dealing with multiple different tentacles in the business. What is your outlook for 2022? What are some of the things that you're going to focus on to grow your company and help your team excel this year?
Everything still looks very, very good. I think you're still going to have another, if you stay aggressive and stay in it, I think you're going to have another really solid year in 22. There's no slowdown in the near future. But that's if you're going to stay aggressive, if you're going to keep the right mindset and drive forward. There's so many opportunities, even with all of the issues. Those issues do nothing but provide us with the opportunity, right? So I kind of said this about my son before we got on here, and I said, everything good in the world or in life is just on the other side of hard. So right now, our job is hard. It can be incredibly difficult in days, and how we handle our customers, how we try to do everything we can to mitigate the past delivery, not picking up, so on and so forth. But it's how we handle it and how we communicate with our customers. If we do a really good job of that, and we don't, this industry has some of that, like, a lot of lying and those kind of things and burying your head in the sand. We've never done that here. It's what we've built this company around. We're honest, we're upfront, we're very direct. And the good customers, when you're direct with them, they love it. The bad customers don't, because they want the same old, right? Just lie to me and then I'll feel better. Well, that's not how I operate. That's not how my team operates. And, we've got a team of us, 7 CSRs that handle all of that for us, and a team of, I think I have 8 or 9 now, salespeople, and they do a wonderful job of communicating that. So I think 22, as long as we keep our foot down and we bust through the wall, we'll be just fine. And some of the things that my team is doing for that, I got to give a shout out to my guy Brian Kane, over at he's our mindset coach for my sales team. It's wonderful. If you look him up, Google him, he is amazing. Do his 2-minute podcast daily. If you want to get in the right mindset on the way into work, or right before you start digging in, or you got that really hard project that you don't want to do, listen to it and then go dig in, right? So because the mindset is the biggest part of this.
Oh, it's everything.
Oh, yeah.
Everything.
Yes.
Everything. You can have all the greatest plans, all the greatest desires in the world, and if your mind's not there, you're crushed.
Yeah.
Hands down. Hands down. Gary says, good morning. Don't get me started on driver respect. We'll be here all day. Ryan came back and said, Justin is right. I'm finding that this has been the busiest I've ever been. Customers are looking for solutions and we have to shine through. Yeah. Gary came back and says, I have an old saying, I get more business by saying no and being honest than I do to saying yes. And that's what everything the customer wants to hear. I agree. I think, as like there was a time when I first started where it was, we always have trucks, it's backhauls, it's going to be cheaper. And it was just a completely different way to sell, and as we progressed through and it became less transactional, more relationship based, the greatest relationships were sometimes when you said no. Hey, Dan, here's, you get it, your team selling, Justin, Friday afternoon, they get a call from a customer, right? That they've been soliciting. And here's your opportunity. It's like, no, somebody bailed on you. It's not an opportunity. Yep. Somebody bailed on you. You're calling me out. Okay. So I need A, B, and C done for $1,500. And that honesty starts with, that can't happen. No. I can give you A for $1,500, but if you want C and D, you're $1,900. And I'm sorry, I would much rather. And for me, it was always, I would much rather say no, as opposed to telling you I can do something and like begging and pleading with the universe to have me pull a rabbit out of my hat, which is usually going to blow up in my face. And then the relationship that we're looking at,
and then you'll never get the business.
Then then you just killed it completely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because there's a load and then there's business, right? There's getting a load. When they like you and they trust you, you'll get business. And I think that's two big differences. Big.
4:30 yesterday, Monday, right? This guy goes, okay, I'm ready to give you through email. We're ready to give you a chance. I need you to do this load for 5,600. I forget the actual lane. And he's like, 5,600, that's the number. And I emailed back. I said, no, the number is 5,950. We can get it done for that. That's where we're at. And no response. Mm-hmm. Right? They're so hell-bent on that $350, like that's going to crush their business. But that load didn't get picked up. That's why he was reaching out to me, because his guy didn't get it done, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the honest part. Is yes, money is important, and we have to do our best to keep those costs down for our customers. But if that is your only part of what you're looking for, we just are not a good fit, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm very honest with people. We do in our business, we even do more LTL, and it is incredibly price sensitive. And so many people really want just the price. And after we get in and we are able to service them, and then they see the difference of how we communicate, and every email is answered within 15 minutes. Every phone call is answered. Every phone call is returned. Everything. If we quote you over the phone, we're sending you an email, and here's exactly what we told you. And, all the little things that really build up. Then they're like, wow, they're actually telling me about the claim that was done 6 weeks ago, and I don't have to beg them for a response and like where this claim's at. And we do all these little things. That's when the price kind of gets shot out the door. And it's not that I'm ever going to go gouge anybody, because we don't do that either. but somebody doesn't leave me over 47 cents. And literally in my world, and mainly LTL, customers do that, and it's very interesting, very sad. That's how that kind of works. But had another customer yesterday, same thing. She goes, I didn't realize that we left you guys. I talked to my team, and we're back. We're not going anywhere. You have done nothing but always be upfront, honest, and perfect with us. And the $4 a load that we were saving just isn't worth it. I was like, I appreciate you, Don. That's awesome. Like, thank you. Hey, because we do. We spend a lot of money.
And you know what, Justin, a lot of the times too, that 5950 load can actually get done for 5,600 if they give you some time. Like, you call it 4:30 in the afternoon, you want it picked up that afternoon. You have to expect to pay a premium. It's like walking into Ruth Chris and expecting to get, keg prices. They're both good restaurants, but you go to Ruth Chris expecting to pay $75 a steak. You go to the keg expecting to pay $40 a steak. And, I don't think we've all been through hundreds of episodes like that at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And, I don't know. To me, I sit there and I say, as a customer, the better you plan, the more cost effective all of your freight's going to be, because you're planning ahead. But, especially if they're talking that $300 that, hey, somebody dropped the ball on me. I've often said to customers, what is that customer worth? Because if we look at that, a lot of the times it's a multi-million-dollar customer that they're not willing to keep happy for $300. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I know when I was in that side of the business, I would lose $500, $600, $700 on a load to keep customers happy. I mean, I didn't like it, but I would lose it, because if I made an agreement and I said I was going to do something, I was going to do it. And
you
I would,
honored it, right?
100%, Justin, I say to the customer, listen,
always.
This is what happened. This is what I've done. So if you can give me an extra 3 hours for the truck to get there, I'll make it happen. And I never really told them what I was losing, because I don't really feel that. Sometimes it came up in conversation afterwards, just shooting the shit over a beer or whatever. But it was that you say you're going to do something, do it. And as I don't know, I've found in my career, it's crazy how people are willing to let $300 jeopardize $1 million accounts.
What you just said was funny. I smirked a little bit, just because what you said is something I've heard since I think I came out of the womb. My dad always said, if you tell somebody you're going to do something, you better expletive do it every single time. That was my, and that's how I was brought up. And I think, for everybody that ever thought that my dad was too hard on me and he pushed me too hard and blah, blah, blah. And, we still might not have the perfect relationship, but like, that's what my whole life has been around. Like, if you tell somebody you're going to do it, it doesn't matter. Like, do it. Like, that was the agreement. You made an agreement, you shook hands on it, and away you go. It's super simple, right? And if you lose money, you lose money. But guess what? You do the right thing, the next 10, you're going to make good money on it.
Yep, 100%, 100%.
And you still have a really good customer.
Well, and that's the difference, right? Long-term profitability. And call a spade a spade. I mean, I know we like to talk sales strategy and, personal development and productivity and stickability, but a spade a spade. We're in it for profit. We're in it to make money. We're in it to create a life for ourselves. We're in it to help customers achieve their goals, which in turn helps us make more money and helps us generate a good book of business that we can have a career on and enjoy our life. That's what we're all in it for. And, so there has to be that give and take. And if I lose $500 today, I will make that back in the next week. And then after that, it's all profit. I mean, there's been points where we've had, one of my customers was Signs, and we screwed up hard. And I told him, like, this is LTL. And I said, I will guarantee all of my work. And we ended up chewing up close to $6,000. And so what I did is I put together a plan over the next 4 months. I'm going to give you 15% off every single shipment you give me, and this will be paid back. And I sat down with the owner and I said, like, for me to cut you a check for $6,000 right now, the company will never go for it. But what I can do is I can mitigate the long-term effects. And it bought me the business for 18 more years. We became really good friends. We're still friends today with both the owner and the logistics guy. And anything that we needed, it was like there was no question. People would call, they wouldn't even take their calls. It would be, no, Dan's the guy to go to. Dan and his team are going to make it work for us. And sure, we had to eat something, but that was my word. And when you talk about LTL at $300-400 a pop, and your supplier is willing to eat 6 G's,
I write off somewhere between $8,000 and $12,000 a month in the LTL world that I write off because customers, I'm not going to pay this one. I'm not going to do this one. I'm not going to pay that reweigh this, and they can't come up with documentation of what it really weighed. And so it's, everybody's like, you're crazy. Why would you write off that kind of cash? Well, because I still have a customer and they're good customers. And when you ship with 1,000 different customers, guess what? You're gonna lose some money. And that's part of it. Or you just let it sit there and then it goes to bad debt and you never collect on it. So choose your poison, right? Like, which one would you rather have? A clean AR or would you have a mess on the other side that you can't figure out? So it's just, it keeps
throwing good money after bad. Because I hate people that try and figure it out. Jeff says opportunities that blossoming quickly, or I had some of the hardest conversations with prospects, which have helped me push the peanut forward 100%. Jacob says, Dan, that's the difference between setting proper expectations on the front end versus committing to unreal expectations and under delivering. That is so key. So key, Jacob. It really is.
I think that's what we struggle to, though, as sales reps in any division, especially this, though. We know it's so, a lot of times it's price, a lot of times it's the right thing. So we want to just say the right thing to try to get in. But, like Jacob said, if we do that, then that's, we're so behind. We don't even realize how far we're putting ourselves behind the 8 ball before we even get in.
So let me ask you this, then, both of you. Is that more of a beginner challenge? Because, we look at some of the people quoting here, they're seasoned vets.
I think it's somebody with not the right training and not the right.
Or even with that I got to put loads on the board mindset, as opposed to, okay, if I land a customer today,
they could be getting stressed from up top. They could be getting stressed from management.
They fall into that. I gotta find loads. I gotta find new accounts. They fall into that, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it is a season versus newer rep or newer person in the industry. I started in this industry with Echo. Like I said, during the middle of all of it, and absolutely, that was you had to close X amount of deals every single month, and you had to grow by X amount. And I still I have those expectations and those plans and processes here for my people, but it's a little bit different of how we approach it because we don't want bad customers. And we walk away from a lot of freight. And I tell my people, they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, that's it. We're never shipping with that person again. If this is how they're going to treat us on the front side, we don't need it. And they've learned real quickly that they don't want to chase bad freight. Like, again, you get put on for the other guys, right? An email chain with 50 different brokers on it. And then he's dictating what the cost is going to be. That's not where we belong. That's not our kind of freight. It is what it is. I'm going to move on. I'm going to tell him thanks, but no thanks, and be okay with it. So,
I'm on a major mission for this industry because I believe it's the education part that, unfortunately, the majority, upwards of 98% of companies out there don't give their employees their sales team this education, which is why DJ and I started going live every day saying, hey, start your day with us and let's get you to where you need to be, because I would much rather see somebody take an extra 3 months to close an account and have that account 5 years from now, because that is a career decision. That is not just a job. I watched at one point, I had 14 salespeople in Ontario, and I had 20 something in Quebec, and I had guys in BC and Alberta and all over the US that I was training. And what was very clear was the ones that were stressed out, the ones that didn't make it, were the ones that were just every day wheeling and dealing, like, give me $10 off, give me $10 up to try and get that load, And we had one gentleman, he did very well. That was his goal. He enjoyed the chase, right? He loved it. He really thrived on that negotiating and getting, better deals. And I remember he was like, he came in my office one day. He's like, dude, I did $25,000 profit this month. Like, this is awesome. I'm like, good for you. And honestly, at that point, I never knew Chase Freight could pay like that. Now, the big thing was he decided to go away on vacation. So he went away. He came back to, I think, $200 in profit.
Yep.
And he came in my office 2.5 weeks. He was gone and he did $200 in profit. And he came in my office losing it. And I said, hold on. Here is the stack of, because the ops team just kept writing down when they made calls and who they called on every load, because we knew this was going to happen. This is not something that surprised anyone. And I said, this is the problem when your entire business is Chase Freight. If you are not here steering the ship gets lost at sea, because you can't expect an ops person that's taking care of 15 different reps to spend 8 hours booking Chase Freight for you. It's not, you don't have your own team.
Making 150 calls to book one load, right?
Exactly.
And we take it, we take it, we take it, we take it.
Almost every brokerage I've been at has been about that mentality. There was no training. There was no.
Yeah. And then and I think that's what's hurting us as an industry. I think that's what, that's why we have this, we'll take the freight and pray that somebody pops up on DAT or, ITS or LoadLink or something, and they get the freight. Like it's crazy. Ryan says, like Dan said yesterday, gone are the days of chasing Brad Freight and customers to put numbers on the board, long-term relationships, 100%.
Absolutely. Jacob had a good one too with that.
That comes from lack of mentality or scarcity mindset versus learning to operate with abundance mentality. No matter what, I appreciate all my customers, but I don't need any one customer. 100%. And that's the big thing, right? I mean, again, I just think I think it's an education thing. I've seen people in the industry, and Justin and DJ, I'm sure you have, that have 10, 15 years in the industry. And there's people with 3 years in the industry that know more and have a better mindset than the 15-year vets, right?
100%. 100%.
When I say
it's the effort you put into it, and it's the growing.
DJ, sorry?
I was just going to say, it's the effort you put into it, and it's the constantly growing and learning. Always, God, I forget. I heard this great story. Now I don't want to screw it up, but it was a monk story, and it was about he was teaching an example of, say, he was showing somebody why he couldn't learn to get beyond a certain level in the mindset. So it was a lot with mindset. It was with a monk, and he was pouring water.
Chop wood, carry water. Phenomenal book, and that's what it's from.
Okay,
and it goes into talking about, you have to learn how to do everything, the little things, over and over and over. And you might think that there's no purpose to it, but when you figure it out at the end, everything comes together. I'm 42, and I think I'm just now starting to get there. But it didn't come until some of the stuff, like we talked about the other day, is like reading books and getting yourself in that right mindset and taking in knowledge. I just read something the other day, don't confuse education with knowledge, right? And there's a lot to be said for that. And I think especially in our industry, right? I think there's so many things that we can do differently if you get your mind in the right spot.
And if you're open to it, you have to be open to it. That's the thing too. You have to be open to receiving.
If you would have talked,
I think there's also a switch.
Ago, well, if you would have said 15 years ago to me, the 27-year-old me, and said, "Hey, Justin, you need to read we're going to call them self-help books, right?" I would have told you you're out of your mind. I am consuming 1 to 2 books a week, and it's amazing where that takes you. Like when you get your mind in the right spot and you're focused on what you're trying to accomplish, while never veering from what your goals are, and goals in life, goals in family, goals and all those things, right? So we were talking about my son. I won't miss anything of my kid's stuff because of work. It's never happened. It'll never happen. I don't care about growing by another $100,000 because if my kid's playing in a baseball game, I'm not missing that, right? But that's my mindset. That's what's important to me, and a lot of that's come through adversity, through so many different things. But I wouldn't be where I'm at without so many great books, so many great like mentors and people that have like helped me along the way. And when you kind of go like this, I'm open to it. And you kind of open your hands and you're like, I'm open. I'm open. I'm going to listen. I'm going to learn and listening, really, really, really listen. So,
Ryan's asking for book
Ryan said any good books.
Oh, there are so many good ones.
Right.
If you want the first one, in my opinion, that's all it is. The Compound Effect. Right?
Great book. Darren Hardy.
Start with the Compound
fantastic book. I love that book.
And then follow it up with Bill Easton's "There's No Plan B for Your A Game."
And this one's for you, Justin. But this one, because especially with your son in the sports, Trevor Moawad, he's partnered with Russell Wilson. But it takes what it takes. It is amazing, and it's all about neutral thinking. It's amazing. And Ryan, obviously, that's for you too, and anybody listening. But yeah, it takes what it takes. Trevor Moawad.
Oh, you've been talking about that book for a bit now, DJ.
Oh, I'm obsessed with it. I'm obsessed. Neutral thinking and the whole concept of it's just crazy.
And for you and Ryan, if you're trying to consume things at a quick basis, there's a really cool app out there. And again, I learned this from my guy Brian, or from my guy.
You're a mindset coach.
Yes. Why am I drawing a blank? Optimize is a very cool app. Gentlemen, download it, play with it. This guy reads these books and then he videos it and he talks about it in about 20, 30 minutes. And, sometimes if you're just looking for that quick, like get into it, get out of it. It is very cool. There's a lot of cool stuff in that Optimize app. Very, very cool.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. And if you're looking for a really good book on mindset and the strategy of mindset, Hockey Tough. That's the one I showed you. Yeah, that's the one I showed you the other day, Justin. I mean, for all of you watching and listening, when we had our kind of our get together call to figure out topics and if the three of us are congruent before Justin came on, I think 95% of that call was us running to our bookshelves and grabbing books. Oh my God, this part is what I love about this book. And it was and there goes Justin. He's going to his bookshelf. Jake, the biggest problem I see with this is it doesn't appeal to the masses. Most of the veterans got where they were by throwing mud up against the wall and seeing what sticks and virtually getting part. You're absolutely right.
Yeah,
it is.
And
that's the problem. Is we don't teach our new salespeople that come into our companies. Here is a foundation that we're going to build your career on. We just get them in and we say, make phone calls, sell, listen to this person on the phone. And the problem is that's the strategy in sales in logistics. But the problem is if I'm listening to somebody that's spewing shit constantly, I'm just going to spew the same shit in a different manner in my tone. And we don't give them a foundation. We don't bring them in and say, okay, what is it you love? Like, how can you make phone calls with passion in your voice? What products do you love? What products do you consume? You will connect with those products on a higher level than just saying, hey, I'm here to get in your wallet, Mr. or Mrs. Traffic Manager, and this is what I want. And that's the problem. We don't take time. I've spent, I can't tell you how many hours speaking with executive VPs going, but then they're just going to leave and go somewhere else. I'm like, but if you don't train them, they will leave and go somewhere else. Like today's when they come in, they want you to train them. They want you.
My guys, we've used Grant Cardone training. Okay, we've done it here. We have done Sandler training here. There's another one called AAISP, which is all about inside sales. That's what the ISP stands for, inside sales or inside phone sales. That we've done that. This is why I have the mindset coach, because it's about not worrying that you're making them better for somebody else to go steal them. If you go in with the right mindset of I'm making better humans and better people, And if they leave, I did my job as an employer, as a human, to make them better people. Guess what? I did my job. Like, I made that person better. Now, if
You
that
created
person
a
doesn't want
legacy,
it,
Justin, regardless of where they're employed. You know,
100%.
the gentleman that pulled me out of a bar at 17 and introduced me to this industry, I still say he gave me something great.
Yeah.
And I haven't been at that company in ages, but I still talk about him. And I
Yeah.
still share that this man saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And, you know, I'm sorry. That's what the legacy is. And when we put our head down for the last time, you know, you were saying earlier about your son and teaching him these thoughts and strategies, you know, and you've created that legacy for him. It might not seem like it now, but I'll tell you one thing, when he's in your position and he's saying, my dad taught me just like your dad, you said my dad was hard on me, but he's created these philosophies in your head that stick with you. And you're able to do so many great things in your market, in your world, in your life with your family because of those philosophies. That's beautiful. As some people from the outside might see it and say, this is crap. Like, man, it's so harsh and but that's what we're creating the next generation of leaders and
That's right.
guides.
That's right.
When you said it looks harsh, I can't tell you how many people look at or say things behind my back, and they're like, you know, Justin's just he's just too hard on everybody. He doesn't care. I'm the most caring human you'll ever meet until you burn a bridge with me, and I will give you everything in the world. And it, if you're a good human, good things will come back to you. And it's just put good into the world, good will come back. Always,
Feed
over
the
and
good
over and
wolf.
over.
That's what I tell everybody. Feed the good wolf.
Yeah, you know, pay it forward, whatever you want to call it. Like, but you know, don't ever do something for an expectation of ever getting something back. Then you're doing it for the wrong reason, right? You know, if you're gonna drive down the road and there's a homeless guy and you're gonna hand him $100 bill, you can't expect him to then go use that $100 to go get a shower and shave and get a job. You hope that he goes and gets a really good next 10 meals and he feeds himself. But if that guy decides that he's going to go buy booze and cigarettes with it, so be it. You did the right thing. You did the right thing and you helped somebody. You can't help them make those decisions when you walk away from it. And
I tell my kids all the time, the only thing that you can control is you. So just
100%.
You know, and it goes.
You.
This is why when we, you know, like our program Inception, this is why we created a year-long coaching call program with the course. The course is 6 weeks, but when we were creating it, I said, there's no way, like you can't change your life in 6 weeks. Can you start to change your mindset? For sure. Can you start to change your skill development? For sure. But how do we keep that accountable? You know, and it's like you said, you go and give a homeless person $100, unless you sat there and created that education and showed them the benefits and helped them see the reality of what can be on the other side. It's all great because we all, you know, you talked about self-help, right? They call all books shelf help because when we're in a low, when we're in a valley, I'm going to go out and get this book. And somebody might say, you know, no plan B for your plan A game. And you go out and get it from Bill Eason and you read the first chapter. And then all of a sudden things start to change because our mentality changes and then things start to come up and this book gets put on our side table and it never gets touched again, or it gets put in our bookshelf and never gets touched again. And, you know, this I think is the biggest thing is it's like Zig Ziglar said, he says, he goes, you know, like you shower every day to stay clean. So you have to feed your mind every day.
You absolutely
to keep that healthy, progressive view. And you know, like, listen, we all come into crap situations.
You got to feed it with good stuff, though. You got to feed it with good stuff. It's just like your body.
There's another great book. Well, there's a bazillion books on habits, right? And habits are the key to everything. And there's another great app out there called Habit Share. That app is phenomenal in helping people stay accountable and digging in. So you get your friends involved and you see what they're doing, they see what you're doing. But if you read the book Tiny Habits and read that book,
that one.
and how it's everybody's like, oh, the big decisions are what, rule your life. Not even close.
Mm-mm.
It's all the little minuscule things that you do every
Tiny
single
thing.
day. It's like you
Tiny
said,
thing.
you wake up every morning, you take a shower and you brush your teeth, right? It's pretty simple. And then most of us have that same habit right here where we then have a cup of coffee, right? So these are 3 habits that we do every day and we never think about it, right? If you can then take that tiny habit of on my way into work, you're going to set yourself up with, I'm going to listen to a book, or I'm going to listen to a podcast, or I'm going to listen to something that makes me better on the way into work. You're already, most people go to work every day, right? It's changed the last 2 years for sure. But okay, if you don't get behind a windshield, because we all have this windshield time. I think DJ the other day, you were in the car lost, right, when we were talking, right? So we all have this opportunity. But if let's say you never leave your house, make that the next thing you do. You get your cup of coffee and we got to beat the sun up too, right? So we're going to beat the sun up, we're going to have a cup of coffee, and then we're going to listen to 20 minutes, right? You're going to be better. You're going to be a better version of yourself. And if you have kids, and this is what your kids see you doing, you may not be preaching it or like telling them this is what they're going to do, and then you're like, and then
they're watching and they're learning.
My kids, sometimes it drives my kids nuts. Like, we're a big outdoorsman family and we do a lot of hunting and fishing together. And like I took my kids on this great hunting trip this fall, 6 weeks ago, and it was wonderful. But all the way home, what we did? We listened to a book. And the time before that, I made them listen to Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah.
What for an 18-year-old and a 16-year-old to listen to? Every decision I make for myself today isn't about like me making more money. It is all about what is my legacy going to be and what am I going to leave behind to my children. And that comes from a different mindset of what my dad used to say of like, I'm going to spend every penny before I die. Well, you know what? He's 71 years old and he's done a really good job of that. So, and that's a mindset, right? You get into that mindset, I'm going to spend every penny. And my mindset is I'm going to have abundance and it's going to be left behind. It's a little different.
Yeah, Ryan says Justin has good character, like you guys were talking about yesterday. Love the guest in the show. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate that, my friend.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan.
And then Maggie says, read something Mel Robbins shared yesterday. You can read all the books you want, but if you can't read yourself, you'll never learn a thing. That's very interesting. And then Jeff says the Book of Execution. I like that. I'm gonna have to research that book.
Yeah.
And there was also Ogmandino quote here, and I think it was from Jacob, and I can't.
Ogmandino, the greatest.
Oh, here we go.
You guys read that book?
Adding value everywhere, no matter what. Ogmandino, the greatest miracle in the world. Yeah, great, awesome. So, Justin, thanks so much for being here, brother. You know what? I love your philosophies. The three of us are like 3 peas in a pod. It's awesome. You know what? Just connecting with like-minded individuals like yourself that are striving to drive the world and our industry forward is something that we're very passionate in. So thank you for being here. We really appreciate it, my friend. DJ, you want to take us out with a... Now you're going to have to step it up.
Can I throw one thing out there? Can I throw one thing?
Go for it, Justin.
Okay. Go ahead.
I want to throw this out there to anybody listening, anybody that needs anything. My phone is always on. Hit me up on LinkedIn, hit me up on Facebook. I will help anybody that wants to learn this industry or has questions. I will help you. I answer every single message I get on LinkedIn, every single one of them, right? That's how we met. I answer, and people think I'm crazy for it, but I answer everything. If I can help one person and you have a question or you need help with something, call me, email me. All of my information is also on our website. So everything's there.
Sweet. Thank you. That means the world, because people are going to hit you up for sure, Justin.
They will. And
now,
so
DJ, you got a big chore here to come up with a quote that
I got
matches
a good one.
this conversation.
I think I got the crazies in here for this quote. So this is by Rob Siltonen, and it's here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers. You could quote them, disagree with them, glorify them, or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because the they change things. They push the human race forward.
I love it.
That's actually a really good one.
That's
Yeah,
what we're
you did a
doing.
good job there, buddy.
That's my 16-year-old.
Oh, there it is.